While Donald Trump did get some good legal news this past Monday when the appellate court in New York did reduce the amount he owes from $464 to $175 million for the bond payment, and of course gave him 10 extra days to pay it, down the street in the Manhattan courthouse, he had a bit of a worse day. And that's the part that kind of got overshadowed by, the appellate court once again bowing to Donald Trump. But when Trump spoke to reporters after a very tense and unfortunate hearing for him with the Manhattan courthouse, where his trial date was set for April 15th, Donald Trump lashed out at the justice system, even after his bigger victory earlier in the day. But here's what Trump had to say about the April 15th court date and the trial in general. I don't know how you can have a trial that's going on right in the middle of an election. Not fair. Not fair. It's not fair at all. No. They can't win an election because of the borders, because of energy prices, because of inflation, because of Afghanistan. He can't win because of Russia, because of all the problems, because of Ukraine being attacked by Russia. And he can't win because of the October 7th attack on Israel, which he should never have allowed to happen. So what they do is they do election interference, which is court cases, and let's try and tie him up and let's take as much of his money as possible. This is not an act of criminality. I don't know if we're having one. We're going to be appealing. We did nothing wrong, just like I did nothing wrong in the other case. It could also make me more popular because people know that it's a scam. You're going to be appealing and you haven't even had a trial yet, bud. But I'm assuming you know that obviously Manhattan is not a very friendly area for you, and the likelihood of you getting a conviction is exceptionally high. Now, also, I have to take issue with this. Like, he can't win because of the October 7th attack on Israel, which he should have never allowed to happen. Like, I'm not just going to gloss over that part as if President Biden somehow allowed that attack to take place. That is an insane comment from a mentally unstable individual. Okay, we can't just act like that statement didn't happen, because that's a crazy statement, and that alone should be discussed by the media. I don't know why people really didn't decide to address that as well, but that's crazy talk. He is a crazy person. He is a desperate, deranged individual spewing these crazy falsehoods, and everybody's just like, oh, well, I guess so. But part of the reason Donald Trump was a little edgy was because he had previously just come from a very bad hearing in front of Judge Juan Merchan. You see, they still had a hearing on Monday. That was originally supposed to be the start date, but instead they just had a hearing. He put the start date at April 15th. But during the hearing, Donald Trump's lawyers accused Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg and the rest of his prosecutorial team of official misconduct. Prosecutorial misconduct, ethical misconduct. They said these folks violated the law every step of the way, therefore, the case should be dismissed. And it was at that point, according to people familiar with what happened inside that courtroom, that the judge actually got pissed off at Donald Trump's lawyers, and he pressed them. This is from CNN Chief Legal Affairs Correspondent Paula Reed. She said they've accused the district attorney's office of professional misconduct, prosecutorial misconduct. They've even suggested that they should be sanctioned. The judge said, look, that's a quote, incredibly serious, unbelievably serious accusation. Not only are you accusing the prosecutor's office of misconduct, but you're also trying to make me, the judge, complicit in it. And he pressed the Trump legal team to come up with some case law, some specifics to support this allegation, because the reason we're here today for this hearing and on the first day of the trial is that federal prosecutors handed over hundreds of thousands, 100,000 documents. So the judge here is pressing the Trump attorneys on why you can accuse the Manhattan District Attorney's Office of prosecutorial misconduct if it's because the Justice Department didn't hand something over. And then later on, she said, now the Trump attorneys argued that the district attorney's office should have pushed for these documents themselves. They should have asked for these specific civic materials, and they're having a pretty intense exchange now with the judge. Whew. So Trump's ranting like a lunatic outside of the courtroom after all this happens. His lawyers are ranting like lunatics inside the courtroom, pissing off the judge before the trial even begins. It's one thing to piss off the judge in the civil trials, right? you know that there aren't going to be any criminal consequences for your client. But this is a whole new world, right? This is a different ball game for Donald Trump and his lawyers. This is criminal law. This is criminal court. It's a criminal trial. You piss that judge off enough, then it might not be Trump who gets sanctioned. It may be those lawyers. They may be the ones held in contempt, and they may be the ones spending a couple nights in jail if they don't clean up their act. Either way, April 15th is the start date, and if this hearing on Monday is any indication, we're going to see some fireworks.